The painting dried very nicely, but and I was so undecided about whether I wanted to make another horse or turn it into a field of cornflowers, but in the end I made the horse. And now I'm not going to do a fantasy horse like I did with the last one, where I used a lot of pearlescent colours. This one I'm going to use white, just strategically, and I don't want to lose all the colour in the horse, but I'm going to put the white inside the horse as opposed to outside, like I did in the other one. So as you can see, there is white already in the painting, and that looks lovely naturally. Looks like water on the horse. So where I'm doing it on the horse, I don't want to delete the lovely colours underneath. So I'm doing it very lightly. I made a border of white, and then I just dragged it down very lightly. So it's very thin, and it's not going to destroy what there is of the colours in the painting. I'll try and get a bit closer. And so you'll see I do an edge like that, an outline over where the outline is, and then I just lightly drag it in. This is a really pretty part I don't want to destroy. He does look quite muscular, I think. And I made the hooves distinctly white because I want them to be, separate from the rest of him. And some of the blues mixed to make a lovely mauve colour. It's amazing because there was very little mauve in the actual blowout. But when you mix blues together, so many different kinds of blues, you really do get interesting effects. So here there is a lot of white, but I do want to get rid of this line here. So I'm going to just go in with the white. And there as well. And then I'll drag it in. Well, I better do that first before it dries. Just to make different markings on the horse, because you can't have a horse just all one colour. Even if he was white, he wouldn't be one bland white. So, and just making these light, soft movements with the brush helps to blend the paint in with the rest of the colours. So you'll see by the time I'm finished it, you won't really see that there's a huge difference between what's in the horse and what's outside him, but it will just be clear that there's a horse in the water, because that's my idea. Anyway, so there's certain parts like his nostrils and his the line on his face and his eyes that I do want to stand out. And one layer of white didn't do it, so I'll have to go back with another layer. The white's just disappeared there. And maybe I'll have to put a centre of phthalo blue in there to make them look less ghostly. So I think the white is just the right amount and it's showing nicely, except it's not showing in the tail and the mane very much. So I may have to go back there. I'm just using some of the leftover paint on the paw to do the hooves, the shoes. And I didn't want them to be so big, but that's just how it works when you're working with wet paint. So that can just be the water around them. And the two back legs are kind of next to each other, so you can't really see them distinctly, but the one is there and the other one comes out there, so I need to put some white there, and then I need to put some blue in his eyes. I mean, I could have used black, but I think the blue just goes with this colour palette. And I'll outline his ears a little. And I think I'll outline his nostrils as well. I think that looks better. So now I've just got to work out what to do with the mane. Probably I'll just have to use more or thicker white paint. So I think he's turning out quite lovely. I did outline him again in the phthalo blue and did his hoofs in the blue. And now I'm going to put some of the, and also in his mane and his tail, but now I'm going to put some more streaks of white in between the blue. Just to complete that feathery look. And so I'm just using the edge of the brush. Not too much water. Just put on a little and then drag it across, so I'll have to come back to those. And I think that's a nice painting of a horse rearing in the sea. And it was a painting, a beautiful painting of a horse that I saw more than 20 years ago, or round about there, maybe less. That first got me really interested in painting, because I would have loved to buy that painting, but it was the ridiculous price of 20,000 Rand, which was a lot of money for those days, not the kind of money I would have had. And I was just so in love with that painting. But I think it was, I mean, I didn't know much about painting then, but I think it was just an outline of a horse in black, and the horse's body was in white and the surroundings were in white. So I think it was just a sketch in charcoal and white, because I really can't remember more than that. And though I painted many horses after that, none of them ever looked quite like that. But I had, at the time, I hadn't tried painting with charcoal. And now I have, and it's very nice. It's but when I used the spray that you're supposed to spray onto hold it in place, it didn't. It kind of just got so wet and murky and messy. So I don't know. Maybe I used too much spray. You know, I'll try it again one day, and it might look nice. The question is, if you do a charcoal drawing in black, and then the rest is just going to be in white, unless you paint inside that charcoal with white and bits of grey, because just pure white would be, I don't know, it wouldn't be very exciting. Anyway, so this is my effort at putting down just a little bit of white to make him look like the water is splashing around his hoofs. I mean his, again, that's beautiful water. You can't, you know, I can't recreate that. That's also very nice there, but I want the water kind of just to be going over like that, and over his legs. It took quite a bit of adding and subtracting to get just the right look I wanted around his eyes and his face and his nose and the hairline. So added white, added blue, added white, and then eventually got it all fluffed out the way I wanted it, and I got his knees in. And I also made this his hind legs a bit wider, because it looked like that on its own looked too narrow for one leg, for two legs, although they are together one in front of the other, but I think that looks a bit better. So that's my majestic stallion galloping in the sea, and I think it's a wonderful sea. I don't think I could get a seascape like that with oils. I could have also painted the horse in oil now, but I didn't. I used acrylic, and I'm happy with it. Yeah, I had thought about it, but I decided on acrylic, so that's what it is. And if you look close up, you can see all the lovely cells and mixtures of color that you simply cannot get with oil, and which is more like a sea, this sort of fantastical imaginary mixture, or mixing oil with different shades of different colors, and neither of them is perfect, because neither of them actually comes close to the real thing. But I think this is really I know it's a lovely way to paint the sea. So I'll take a photo at the end. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and please like and comment. Bye for now.